welcome here for another day in Bronie's world with the gorgeous Ben Fuchs, and we got so confused I nearly forgot to press record. So Ben, I'm going to hand it back to you.
All right. So I assume there's some people selling. I know Karen and Bronwyn, and Michelle. I think you're in the business, doing the business, and I think it's really important. I want everybody to recognize that we are in the service business. We are helping people. We're helping people at a very basic and fundamental level. The world is a very confusing place in all kinds of ways. In fact, it's almost intentionally confusing. It seems like it's so confusing, but nothing is more confusing than health and healthcare. That's why I kind of tease at the beginning. I would say smart people suffer from overthinkitis. And what I really mean is we get bamboozled. We don't know where to turn, who to answer. I did a TikTok video a couple days ago, got 10 million views. It was on the problems with sunscreens and how sunscreens are toxic chemicals. Do you know I had dermatologists on doing rebuttal videos and telling them why, oh no, there's no evidence about this and scientific proof and they test them and blah, blah, blah. Completely oblivious to the fact that the chemistry of a sunscreen, just the chemistry of it, leads to toxicity. So I do a TikTok and then the dermatologist comes and counteracts everybody. So somebody's listening, they don't know what the heck to believe, who to believe. I say something and doctor says something else, you hear something else on the internet, it's very, very confusing. So our job, I feel like, we in Longevity, is to simplify, to make it easy for people to understand how, number one, how to use nutrition in order to stay healthy, and number two, how to use nutrition and other strategies, not just nutrition. You know, we always talk spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, other strategies to reverse chronic disease. There's not a lot that goes wrong in the body. In fact, if you want to really boil it down, all chronic disease, which is the major cause of health distress, chronic disease, they call it chronic degenerative disease, is inflammatory disease. Inflammatory means defense. Think defense. The body's like a country. It has a defense department. When you have a disease, you're on red alert. Your defense department, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the defensive system is hyperactive. And this hyperactivity, while it's important for the short run, compromises everything in the long run. So if you understand that all disease is inflammatory disease is defensive disease, all you got to do is figure out what the offending agent is. Simple as that. Now, offending agents can be positive or negative. A positive offending agent is cigarette smoking, alcohol drinking, taking drugs, eating sugar, eating excess calories. Those are positive offending agents. But there's negative offending agents too. A negative offending agent is not getting enough nutrients, not getting enough oxygen, not getting enough rest and relaxation. So they go in two ways. The defense department can be alerted positively by toxicity or duress, or negatively by something missing that's supposed to be there. So to simplify, health, and it's for every chronic condition, all disease is, or all healing, we'll say, is bad stuff out, good stuff in. I know it sounds silly or maybe childish, but that's all it is. Bad stuff out, good stuff in. Simple as that. Now, then you have to say what is bad stuff and what is good stuff, but that's a much easier question. Now, if you have a health challenge, like I'm reading some of these questions, somebody says, and by the way, the medical model loves Latin. Do you think your doctor speaks Latin? No, he doesn't speak Latin. They want you to think that he's like an old wizard with a hat and he's stirring things in his little alchemical lab, and they want to conjure up this imagery of the great alchemist speaking Latin. No, the reason it's in Latin is to confuse you. So you don't know what the heck's going on. So you have this one guy says he's got, what was it? He has a muscle issue. Or we'll take the nerve issue. Where's the nerve issue guy? The nerve issue question. The nerve issue. Where is that one? That was a good one for me. Do you have that, Bronnie? The one with the lady with the nerve problem?
Motor neuron disease. Is that what you're talking about?
Motor neuron disease. All right, that's not quite as complicated. She has a cell disease. A neuron is a cell. She has a cell disease. Well, Great. All diseases are cells. It doesn't matter if it's the neuron or the heart cell. It doesn't matter if it's the heart cell or the pancreas cell. It doesn't matter if it's the neuron or the bone cell. It's a cell disease. That means the cell is getting too much bad stuff and not enough good stuff. You all heard me say all disease is cell disease, right? But all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. And this is where disease starts. This is where all of it starts. Number one, working backwards, all disease is cell disease. That's at the top. So if you have diabetes, you got a pancreatic cell disease. If you have Alzheimer's, you got a brain cell disease. If you got heart cardiomyopathy, you got a heart cell disease. If you got irritable bowel syndrome, you got an intestinal cell disease. It's all cellular, not organismic, not organ. That's not the right word. Not organ. Organ. I don't know what the right word is, but it's not about the organ. It's about the cell. Okay. So intestinal disease is intestinal cell disease. Alzheimer's or dementia is a brain cell disease. You see where I'm going here? So top, you have a cell disease. All cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. Why? Because the only interaction the cell has is with the blood in terms of its ability to survive. The blood delivers the oxygen. The blood delivers the nutrients. The blood removes the toxicity. So all disease is cell disease. All cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. Now, aside from people who are injecting things through their skin, whether it's vaccines or drugs or legal drugs or illegal drugs, we're not going to go there. We'll just say the vast majority of people who are not injecting things through their skin, the only way things get into the blood is through the mouth. That's the only way. So if all disease is cell disease, and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood, the only way the blood can get dirty is through the digestive system. Unless you're injecting, we're not going there. Assuming nobody's injecting, through the digestive system. When I talk about the digestive system all the time, the intestine and leaky gut, it's not because I'm Mr. Organic guy, David Avocado Wolf, or some super, Boulder, Colorado hippie who's only eating vegetables and only eating organic. It's not what it's about. It's just the way the body is put together. All disease is cell disease. All cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. The only way the blood gets dirty is through the intestine, because that's where the outside world meets the blood, at the level of the intestine. Now, if you consider that we are all of us, all 8 billion people on the planet, are eating foods in the year 2024 that did not exist in the year 1824, obviously we're going to have a problem with food. Obviously, we're going to have a problem with food, and we're going to have a problem with digestion. And I always talk about the triangle of disease, and there's 3 points, and that's pretty simple, but we can even simplify it even further. We can call it the line of disease. Forget the point. Forget the adrenals and the thyroid. I know that's the tip of the triangle, but we can just go to the base of the triangle, which is the digestive system, food, the blood sugar system, food, and also stress hormone to a certain extent, but we'll just stay food. So if you work on food and digestion, you will go a long way towards preventing almost all chronic diseases or reversing them. And the proof of this is when you fast, for most people, they feel better. When we fast, we feel better because for that period, the stream of poison that's gotten into the bloodstream sometimes for decades or a lifetime stops. And so you start to feel better. Sometimes it takes a day or two, but usually you feel better very quickly. So to simplify everything, you work on the digestive system and the blood sugar system. If you really want to go all out, throw in the adrenal glands, but just the digestive system and the blood sugar system. So this confusion with the medical model, with the drugs, with the Latin names, with all of the things that go wrong in the body can be defused, deactivated by us, neutralized by us in longevity. And that's what we're here to do. Not just me, Bronie and Kevin, God bless them, and Karen and Michelle and all the people who are doing longevity. We are here to serve humanity, to help clear up this fog that most human beings are in when it comes to the most fundamental level, the most fundamental aspect of our beingness, of our livingness, which is our health. You know, you can get into politics and you can worry about your money and you can have problems with your kids and your husband, but God forbid you have an autoimmune disease, none of that's going to matter. Got diagnosed with cancer or heart disease, and none of that's going to matter. This is the most fundamental level there is in terms of the human beings operating, the way human being operates. And we in Longevity are here to serve people at that level. And if you have your health, praise God every day for it. That's the most important wealth there is health. Health is the most important wealth there is. And if you don't have your health, rest assured that the body can turn on a dime if we turn on a dime. We have to turn on a dime, but then the body will turn on a dime. And last thing is, this is so cool. I always say this, but it's just so cool. I love saying it. And I want you guys to really hear it even over and over again. The sicker you are, the faster you turn it around. The more weight you need to lose, the faster the pounds drop off. The more nutritionally deficient you are, the faster the body will absorb those nutrients like a dry sponge sucks up more water than a wet sponge. So we're here to serve, and let's not forget that. As much as we all, need to make a living, and we all want the money, and we all enjoy all the things that wealth provides, and the safety that wealth provides, it's about serving our fellow man and clearing up this massive miasma, this cloud of unknowingness that the vast majority of human beings are swimming in terms of their physical health and well-being. Now that I've done that little introduction, let's answer some questions.
So well, you touched on the lady that had, I think it's a lady.
Yes. So this gal has motor neuron disease. Guess what doctors will tell you about motor neuron disease? They will say, no known cause. We have no idea. We don't know. And guess what they'll give you? Nothing. There's nothing they can give you. They'll give you a prednisone or a steroid. Is this gal here?
I think she's in the room. Karen, is she in the room?
No.
All right. So
but unless I come here.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she's coming. Can you see her walking to the
Okay. Let's see.
Hang on.
Okay.
Where's she going?
Okay. I'm not the person that is ill. I'm the person that is asking for my friend.
Okay. Now, do you know what they're giving your friend? What medication they're giving your friend? Hi, Kevin.
I think that is exactly what you said. When she went to doctors, the doctor said, we don't know anything about it. We can't do anything.
Oh, we don't know. No known cause. This is the best one. It's in your family. It's in your genetics. Your dad had it. Your mom had it. Your grandma had it. All right. And there's no drugs they can give you. You know why there's no drugs they can give you for motor neuron disease? Because remember, it's all about the cell. Motor neuron disease is a cell disease. A neuron is a fancy way of saying a nerve cell. Okay, so motor neuron is a nerve cell. Motor neuron disease is a nerve cell disease. What does that even mean, a nerve cell disease? The cells aren't working. That's what it means. And because it's the motor neurons are involved in moving. So your motor neurons affect movement. So this person has problems moving. It's elderly. It usually happens to older folks. This is an elderly person?
70, probably. Late 60s.
Late 60s.
Okay, I love your shirt, but I can't see your face, but your shirt's nice. If you can just show me who you are.
Where to go? Hang on. Here. Can you see me?
Oh, there you are. I see you now. Okay. Yeah. So she's having problems walking, problems moving her arms and legs and that kind of thing.
Mainly is the talking and the swallowing now.
Talking and swallowing. Okay, gotcha. So those are all motor neurons. Okay, those are all motor neurons. So she has a cell disease, right?
Yeah.
No kidding. All disease is cell disease. This happens to be the nerves. So they give it official name, motor neuron disease. Here's the good news. There's only 3 things that can go wrong with a cell. Only 3. As complicated. First of all, let's think about what a cell is. A cell is so small that you can't see it. It's microscopic. You could fit 100 of them on the head of a pin. I mean, that's how tiny it is. But within that cell, within that tiny little cell, you have hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of working parts. Themselves are structures that are constantly being broken down and rearranged. Some cells can make hundreds of different chemicals. How can a cell that's microscopic make hundreds of different chemicals? How's it even possible? And there's these little compartments in the cell that are little rooms, sometimes dozens, maybe hundreds of different little rooms in the cell. It has a skeleton. What? Yes, a skeleton. It has a structure to it. It's responsive to the environment. It's intelligent. It's coded with a computer, with a layer of thin chemical that functions like a computer chip. I mean, it's the most complex entity on the planet. So you can imagine it needs some stuff. It needs to have some support. But here's the thing, as complex as it is on automatic as long as it has three things. As long as it has food, as long as it has oxygen, and as long as it has a clean place to do its work. The only thing that can go wrong with a cell is starvation, suffocation, and toxification. That's it. This complicated entity that we can't even begin to understand how it knows what to do automatically and how it can exist in such intelligent responsiveness to its environment. We don't understand anything about it, but it doesn't matter because all we got to do is feed it, breathe it, and keep it clean. However, when a cell dies, it does something very interesting. The same thing that human beings do when we die. You know, human beings have to bury their dead or cremate their dead. You can't leave a dead body lying around. In the Middle Ages, when they were fighting wars, they would have castles and they would have sieges around the castles. One of the ways they could combat the country or the city that was behind the walls is they throw dead bodies over it. And the dead bodies would rot and emit all kinds of acids and poisons and bacteria, and it would poison the city. That's one of the ways they fought wars in the Middle Ages. You ever want to read some horrible stuff, read about Middle Ages military. Even today, sometimes guerrilla groups will throw dead bodies in the water supply because dead bodies create toxicity. When a dead body, I don't mean to be gross here, but I'm going somewhere with this. When a dead body explodes, it emits toxins. Well, a cell is the same way. When a cell dies, it emits toxins. And so the body has to protect itself from all that acid and enzymes and toxicity that is being emitted by the dead cell. So the body will surround that dead cell with fibers and goo and proteins. And that kind of segregates the dead cell. And then the cleanup crew can come and clean up the dead cell in a safe, in a sort of safe space before all the toxins leak out. However, if cells are constantly dying, the body is going to be constantly protecting itself from the dead cells with fibers, with protein, with fluids. We have a word for these fibers and proteins and fluids that protect the rest of the body from the death, from the dead cells. What is that word, Bronwyn? It's a fancy schmancy word. I'm putting you on the spot. But you know the word. When I tell you, you'll go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The word is inflammation. That's what inflammation is.
I got
Inflammation. What's that?
I got distracted with the door.
Inflammation is a protective response. It's a way the body protects itself. And if it happens, if you just one cell dies, you have a little inflammatory response. That's not a problem. The cleanup crew comes out and cleans it up. But if this cells are constantly dying because they're starving and they're suffocating and they're toxic, you get lots of these pockets of inflammation. And what's worse is, once you have pockets of inflammation, food can't get through, and oxygen can't get through, and toxicity can't leave. So now you have more cells that will die, and more inflammation, and now more oxygen can't get in, and more nutrition can't get in. You see what happens here? And this starts at birth for many people, certainly at childhood for the vast majority of people, and into adulthood. So by the time somebody's 70 or 80, they got lots of this stuff going on. Lots of it. Lots of inflammation. And by the way, this inflammation is important to recognize is micro inflammation. Because when you say inflammation, it doesn't really land because people will be like, oh, I don't have a black eye. You know, inflammation is when I have a swollen joint. When I broke my leg, it's all purple and that's inflammation. No, this is microinflammation. It's the cell's version of a black eye. It's the cell's version of a sprained ankle, the inflammation that's associated with a sprained ankle. It's microscopic. You don't see it. And it could be going on for decades until one day you reach a tipping point, you reach critical mass, and all of a sudden you notice it. And this is why people will say, and they say this to me all the time, I was just sitting there watching TV and all of a sudden I got fibromyalgia. Boom, it just happened. The fibromyalgia angel just sprinkled it on my head while I was innocently watching TV. I was fine yesterday, and today, what the heck's going on? Because it's under the radar. We don't see it until it reaches this tipping point. Now, I'm giving you the mechanism. I think the mechanism is fascinating, and I want you to know the mechanism because I don't like us making assertions. Just take this, just take that. You know, it might be simpler to say, just take this, just take that. But I want you guys to understand it. I want you to be health professionals, health experts. I don't want you to feel like this is too over your head. This is not over your head. Did I say anything complicated?
No.
It's nothing complicated here. You don't need to go to school. You don't need a degree for this. And that's what the medical model wants us to think, that we need a degree. And, oh, what medical school did you go to, Miss Bronwyn? Well, was it Dr. Google? Did you go to Google University? You know, they have all these funny jokes that they tell to make fun of people. But the fact is you don't need to know a lot. So for this gal, she's got starvation, suffocation, toxification. It leads to inflammation. It leads to more starvation, suffocation, toxification. It leads to more inflammation. What do? We start with the bottom. How do toxins get into the blood? Number one, through the digestive system. So we work on the digestive system. Number two, we oxygenate the system. Now, working on the digestive system is going to help oxygenate because it'll help with the inflammation. But you do deep breathing exercises. You practice breathing, or you exercise, or you relax the body, which also has a positive effect on oxygenation. And then thirdly, you put nutrients into the body without calories, or at least maximum nutrients with minimum calories. I'm not going to talk to you, I want you to appreciate the importance of oxygenation and toxicity. Toxicity being sugar, by the way, is a major toxin. Prescription drugs are a major toxin, but also toxins that come in from the leaky gut. And I don't want to talk about leaky gut again. We talk about it all the time, but you know about that. That's a major cause of toxicity. So I don't really want to get into that, but let's talk about the nutrition side of it. From a nutritional perspective, there's two kinds of nutrients. There's macronutrients and there's micronutrients. Macronutrients, big, macro means big. You need a lot of that. You need grams and ounces of that a day. That's called, those are called protein, fats, and carbohydrates. And those have calories in them, and they require a lot of work. Calories require work. The body has to do all kinds of biochemical sorcery in order to process those calories. The nutrients don't require work. The micronutrients don't require work. The vitamins, the minerals, the aminos, and the fatty acids. We call them the mighty 90 essential nutrients. Dr. Wallach calls them the mighty 90 essential nutrients. Here's the thing. The mighty 90 essential nutrients help the body use the calories. So by getting a lot of micronutrients in your system, mighty 90 essential nutrients, you will be able to enjoy less calories because your body will be able to get more bang for its buck. It'll be able to take advantage of the calories. It'll be able to take advantage of the calories. Now, for eons, up until maybe 500 years ago, maybe 1,000 or maybe 10,000 years ago, depending on, at an increasing pace as history moves on, but starting about 10,000 years ago, we figured out how to get lots of calories without nutrients.
That wasn't smart.
That wasn't smart, no, but we didn't appreciate nutrients. We didn't know what nutrients were until 150 years ago. We didn't know there was a thing called vitamins until the 1900s. So we didn't know. So we just thought it was all calories. We just thought it was all foods were basically just energy. We didn't know there were these magical compounds in there that helped the body carry the energy. We thought it was all energy. So we thought it was a good thing. But up until 10,000 years ago, when you ate, you killed a woolly mammoth or a saber-toothed tiger, whatever the heck they were eating on the African savannah 10, 12,000 years ago, after the Ice Age, whenever that was, or even before the Ice Age, the woolly mammoth had a perfect balance of calories to nutrition, to micronutrients, a perfect balance of macronutrients to micronutrients. We have a word for a food that is a perfect balance of macronutrients to micronutrients. We call that a whole food. That's what a whole food is. A whole food is a food that has the perfect blend of macro to micro. But once we figured out how to process foods, and it started with processing grains, because grains aren't really edible. They got to process them to eat them. You got to crush them up to eat them. You can't really get nutritional value from grains. You got to process them. Once we figured that out, we started to lose the balance of micronutrients to macronutrients, and it's been heading in that direction ever since. So today, we're not eating the right kind of foods. This is why micronutrient supplementation is so darn important. Micronutrient supplementation. Now, for this gal, from a micronutrient perspective, there's several things she could do. The first thing you want to do is work on digestive health. Guaranteed. I wish she was here. I always hate talking to people when they're not here, but I'm going to guarantee you, I'll bet my house, I'll bet anything you want, that this lady has had a digestive issue her entire life, her entire adult life. Now, she may not know it. She probably does. But a lot of times people don't know it. So you got to patch up the leaky gut. That's the first thing. So you do all the digestive support, the nightly essence, the ultimate enzymes, ultimate microbiome, I-26, anything you do for the digestive system, anything you do for digestive health, ketogenic diet, calorie restriction, reduce sugar intake, reduce intake of processed foods. There's a whole list of these things. In fact, Brian, maybe you just write up a list and we just stick it on Facebook or something. There's all the things for the digestive system you could do for this gal. That will immediately stop the stream of toxicity. And that's like, you never hear the thing, we got to stop the bleeding. That stops the bleeding, so to speak. Then you take in nutrients. For the neurons, all the nutrients are important, but especially fatty ones. Essential fatty acids, the ultimate EFAs. Get her on the get her on the Healthy Start Pack. I'm going to break it down for you. Get her on the Healthy Start Pack. Get her on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, actually. Ultimate EFAs are extremely important for all cells, but especially for nerve cells, because nerve cells have extra fat around them. All cells have a fatty membrane, but nerve cells have extra myelin. It's a special kind of fat around them. And they're very dependent on fat, and the ultimate EFAs are anti-inflammatory. So they'll help quiet down inflammation. The Mighty 9 Essential Nutrients, all of them. That's the Healthy Start Pack. I would also throw in the Fucoid Z, because that's got wonderful electrical properties. The motor neurons, obviously, all cells depend on electricity, but motor neurons are especially electrical. And the Fucoid Z has a lot of electrical properties. Fucoidin does. So I'd also throw her on the Fucoid Z. If she does just that, and I'm happy to work with her, by the way, if she wants to contact me. If she does just what I just told you, work on the foods, eliminate problem foods, fasting, calorie restriction, ketogenic diet, eliminating processed foods, all the things we just talked about, using the digestive support, ultimate enzymes, apple cider vinegar with her ultimate enzymes, ultimate microbiome, and I-26 and nightly essence, and the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. She does everything. I'm guaranteeing you she will start to feel better. Guaranteeing you. Now, will she get completely healed? I don't know if she'll get completely healed, but she'll start to heal right away if she does everything I said. Guaranteed. Now, I'll also tell you, not everybody wants to do everything. When you're 70 or 80, you've been eating a certain way your whole life, it's hard to say, stop, You got to change everything. Most people don't want to do that. But let her know that this is an option. This is an option first. When she goes to the doctor's like, I don't know what the heck's going on. I don't know what that is. I just gave her 20 different options. So she has options here. If she wants to do just one thing, get her on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. But personally, I would be working on the digestive system along with that. Okay?
Well, she's running out of time because the doctors have told her she's got, from the day of diagnosis, which was 12 months ago, they told her that she has 18 months to go of life.
Yeah, they forgot the second part. The first part is there's two parts to what they told her. They only told her the first part. They forgot to mention the second part. The first part is you only got 15 months. The second part is you only got 15 months if you listen to me. You only got 15 months if you pay attention to me. They forgot to mention that part. So what they should have said is, yeah, you only got 15 months if you keep going to see me. What they should have said is, you may only have 15 months, but you have other options that you could do. But you know what, you guys, they don't know. God love them. They don't know. They never heard of leaky gut. They never heard of histamine. They never heard of TMAO and dirty blood and coagulated sticky blood and chelation and nutritional therapy. They didn't know any of this stuff. So there's options for her. If she wants, I'm happy to help her, or you can help her. Just give her this video. Okay.
The other thing that I must mention, because it is important to me anyway, she was perfectly fine until she took the vaccine. And from there on, with weeks, she had
so real quick on the vaccine, because based on what we just talked about, I don't want to get into the politics of anything, but just based on what we just talked about, if all disease is cell disease,
yeah,
and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood, what do you think injecting something into your bloodstream from the outside is going to do? Why is it that almost all the toxicity that's associated with the vaccine is related to blood? When the blood is so fascinating. The blood, when we think of the blood, we just see red stuff. But the blood is this complex fluid with all kinds of perfectly balanced molecules that are in there at just the right amounts in order to keep the system moving, in order to carry nutrients, in order to conduct electrical charges, in order to deliver oxygen. Once you start putting things into the blood through injecting, what the heck's going to happen? I don't care. They were always like, well, we tested it and we know it's okay because we had a lot of people tested and we know it's okay because we did all the tests and my doctor said it's okay and blah, blah, blah. Completely oblivious to the chemistry of it. You're injecting things into the bloodstream, or it doesn't, not directly into the bloodstream, but it eventually gets into the bloodstream. So obviously you're going to have a problem. The life of the body is in the blood. You have to be so respectful of the blood. You cannot put things in the blood, especially things that are completely foreign, especially genetic modification. Of course there's going to be problems. Of course there's going to be blood diseases. Why is the number one issue heart disease and heart attacks and blood clots? Because you're sticking things into the blood. So even the disease itself, even COVID itself is a blood disease. It's all about the blood. So when you say that she tipped her over the edge, that makes sense. The blood, did you ever imagine, I don't know if you've ever done this, but just use your imagination. A cup of water, and you put a teaspoon of salt in the water, right? Goes in, perfect. Put another teaspoon of salt in the water, goes in, perfect, right? Can't even tell. Put a third teaspoon, goes in, perfect, can't even tell. But then you put a fourth teaspoon in, and something happens called a phase shift. And that phase shift is manifested by all the salt crystals coming out and precipitating. And now all of a sudden, instead of a glass of water, you got this jelly, salty mush. Can you picture that in your head? What happens? That's what happens when a liquid becomes saturated, or when the chemistry, the pH, the acid level of a liquid changes. When things get into the blood and they change the pH of the blood or the oxygen levels of the blood, or they saturate the blood, all of a sudden the blood is a different animal. The blood is a different organ. The blood's an organ. The blood is a tissue. It is completely different depending on what's been inserted into it. That's why the digestive system is so important, because when things leak into the bloodstream through the intestine, it changes the constituency, the composition of the blood. Just like putting an extra spoon of salt changes the composition of your glass of water. It does a phase shift. And that's why you have to be so respectful of the blood. You have to be very careful of what you're injecting into the blood, and you have to be very careful what you're putting into the blood through the intestine. So I'm not at all surprised. What are you going to do? You couldn't leave your house without getting injected in your country. In Australia, it wasn't quite as bad here, but it's heading that way now. I don't know if you heard this. WHO, World Health Organization, God love them, they said, get ready. It's coming up. Disease X. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
It's coming up. They're preparing you. Disease X. It's on the way. It's inevitable. You'll be here in a couple of years, at least. Disease X, right? So listen, That's what they want us to believe. Fine. If you're going to do it, do it. You want to participate that way, you can participate that way, but you don't have to. You can take care of your health. You can do everything we just told you. That God bless that gal. She just listens to everything I just said, or listens to this video, or you help her. She could be a new woman. Body can turn on a dime if we turn on a dime. All right, next.
Okay.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Okay, I really want to go to Keith, not Kevin. He's blind, and so they won't be able to move him into front of the camera.
Okay.
And he has been taking the 90/90 for like forever, but his feet, he's having trouble with his feet swelling now.
He's having problems with his feet swelling?
Feet, yeah.
His feet are
Have
swelling.
I got that right, Karen?
Yes.
Not
He's
listening.
got
Yes, so he's taking heaps of longevity stuff. To me, I think he's probably dehydrated. That's
Okay, so wait a minute now. I'm still understanding. He's got swollen feet is the problem, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, nobody just has swollen feet. He's got a lot more than swollen feet, but let's just talk about swollen feet for now. Okay? The feet are at the bottom of the body. When the blood is circulating,
After I come back in the morning, when I'm standing in the bare feet, you can press your finger into the foot.
oh yeah, you press it there. Okay, I got you. That's called edema. That's fluid that's leaking. That's very common in older folks. It's very common in diabetics. It's very common in patients of heart disease or kidney disease. I imagine he's an older person.
Yes,
Usually that doesn't happen in
close
people.
to 90. He's around 90.
Okay, all right. So I'm not going to. He doesn't need to know all the mechanism. At the age of 90, he doesn't need to know everything that's going on. He needs, but just so everybody who's listening to this call can understand, the blood is made up of a bunch of stuff, and there's water in the part. A large proportion of the blood is water. As the blood is circulating, if it doesn't move completely, if it's not propelled with enough force around the body, stuff starts to leak out. Fluid starts to leak out. And because of gravity, that tends to be at the bottom of the body. It's called edema. Sometimes you'll hear the term lymphedema. It's all basically the same thing. So what he's dealing with is blood that's not moving correctly. Okay? All disease is cell disease. Help me, Bronie. All cell disease is preceded by
Inflammation.
no.
You're tricking me again.
All
Dirty
disease
blood.
is cell disease. Dirty blood. Exactly. Now I use the term dirty blood because it's graphic, but some people will say sticky blood. Some people say coagulated blood. Some people say thick blood. But the point is the blood is not moving like it should. When the blood doesn't move as well as it should, things leak out. And that's where edema comes from. So he's got way more problems than just his feet. This guy's got a bunch of problems. But what we want to do right away is we want to improve his circulation. First thing I would do is I'd have him moving. I don't know if he's moving. If he's 9, he's probably not moving a lot, but moving his legs, moving his extremities especially, but moving the body is very important. Secondly, oxygenation is very important. Oxygenation improves, this is kind of cool. Red blood cells, which form which make up a large part of the blood, have to be spread apart.
Mm-hmm.
When they're not spread apart, they clot. And this is one of the things that happens when you have sticky blood. Toxins will cause blood cells to stick together. So anything you do that will support the spreading apart of blood cells will improve the movement of blood. One of the best things, one of the fastest ways to spread your blood cells apart is with oxygen. Oxygen helps blood cells spread apart. So I'd be practicing slow, deep breathing. Slow, deep breathing not only increases oxygenation, improves oxygenation to the blood, but it also, whose ear is that?
That would be Grant.
Okay. All right. Slow, deep breathing also will force the diaphragm to go up and down, and the diaphragm acts like a second heart. or second pump. So slow, deep breathing will not only improve oxygenation of the blood, it'll also improve movement of the blood via the diaphragmatic action. And that's where the depth becomes important. Also, there are nutrients that can spread out the blood cells. One of the most important nutrients that we have in our formulary, in our longevity armory, is fucoidin, the fucoid Z. It's one of the best benefits of the fucoid Z, is it spreads blood cells apart. There you go. So get him on that fucoid Z, not the Z radical, but the fucoid Z.
Yeah.
Okay? And then also there are other nutrients that can help improve blood flow and blood supply. Vitamin C, healthy start pack. Don't overthink it. Just give him on the healthy start pack, get him on the fucoid Z, have him practice slow, deep breathing, and have him moving around. Also, I would throw in, you might want to, well, I think if you should do that. Just stick with that. Stick with the healthy start pack. If he wants to go all out, I would throw in the digestive support. That's always good. But if he's 90, you don't want to overwhelm the guy. Have him moving, breathing. Oh, and one more thing, Bronie, you said this earlier. This is really cool. Water. Water hydrates the blood. So water is one of the best things you could do for sticky blood, is drinking water. We are so underhydrated. How many people do you know drink a gallon of water a day or half a gallon of water a day? I guarantee he's not doing it. So increasing his water intake is also very important, which he might think is counterproductive, because he'll be like, oh my God, I've got and his doctors might say this too, I've got fluid coming out. I don't want to drink water. It's actually the opposite. Yes, you do want to drink water because you want the blood to be moving and circulating more effectively. Now, this guy probably has a lot of other health challenges too. I'm sure he's got some blood sugar issues and kidney issues and cardiovascular issues and all that.
He's blind as well.
And he's blind. So he probably has a lot of health problems, but that's a great start for him.
Yeah. Karen says he's been on the Healthy Body Pack, or I think that's it, for 11 years. If I can read that.
Oh, if he's been on it for 11 years, he's having these problems, and he needs to start changing some stuff around. I would, again,
try
I would go.
Our hydration sticks. You know our hydration sticks?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. I didn't understand that.
Well, if he doesn't like drinking water, he should try our hydration sticks. You've seen that? No, I haven't, but nothing duplicates water. Good, beautiful water. It
clean
helps
water.
It helps you
with
hydrate. You'll have to learn about those, Ben.
No, I know. That's totally true. You're absolutely right. Hydration sticks, I'm looking them up right now.
Yeah, they're like the
probably electrolytes. Yeah, it's probably electrolytes.
Yes, they got the electrolytes.
Yeah, it's electrolytes. Yeah, but electrolytes don't work unless there's water.
They're all natural. They're all natural.
Yeah, you got to put them in water.
Part of our longevity brand.
You got to put them in water.
Yes.
You don't eat them like a pixie stick. You guys know what pixie sticks?
But you know, it's particularly good for people who don't like drinking water.
I know. I do hear that from people a lot of times. I hear that from people. They don't like drinking water. A little lemon or a little hydration stick, you know, or a little Beyond Tang tangerine. Water.
Ben, what do you think about ozone water?
Ozone water is oxygenated water, has extra oxygen in it. But oxygen doesn't come into your body through your stomach. You breathe oxygen. So you can't really ingest ozonated. Ozonated water ozonating water kills bacteria. It's a great way to clean the water, but it's not necessarily going to deliver oxygen to you through your stomach.
Okay.
Same with alkaline water.
All right, well, moving right along, still in Karen's room. She would like, someone there would like you to talk about unexplained weight loss, or rather what to do about inability to gain back weight.
Yeah, that could be a lot of things. That could be cortisol, or it could be insulin. It could be a disease, God forbid, cancer, something like that. That could be a bunch of stuff. But if you and I do hear every once in a while, people say they can't gain weight. So assuming there's no frank disease going on, no full-blown disease going on, and early pre-diabetes can cause problems like that, and cancer can do it too. But assuming there's no health challenges like that, the best way to gain weight, and nobody, by the way, wants to gain weight. They want to gain muscle mass. You don't want to just be fat. You want to be toned. So when people say they want to gain weight, they don't mean they want to gain fat. If you want to just get fat, just go eat a bunch of ice cream and pizza. you'll get fat. Nobody wants to do that. What people need to do is they need to gain muscle mass. And the way you do that is the combination of resistance training and ingestion of protein. Combination of protein and specifically something called branched chain amino acids, the fit shake. I don't know if I think you have TMR over there too. Do you have the TMR, total meal replacement?
Yes, we have the TMR plant.
Listen, I did that. That stuff is amazing. That TMR is amazing. So you want to do that's not a great weight gain protein, but it's a great protein. So I like the fit shake, whey protein for gaining weight, and a combination of the protein and resistance training. That means that most people think of weightlifting, but it doesn't have to be weightlifting. You could do bands. You could do resistance training with bands. You could do isometrics like push-ups and chin-ups, those kinds of things. So there's different forms of resistance training that don't involve a gym membership or don't involve weights, but you can do all those things. The point is to put stress on the muscles so the muscles grow in combination with using protein to help build the muscle. Now, I'll also say a couple other things. Also, essential fatty acids, the ultimate EFAs, are important for building too. Sugar and cortisol, stress hormone, will both cause muscle to break down. You got to be careful with too much sugar. A little bit of sugar you need, but too much sugar and stress hormones. So those two things you got to be careful with. So if somebody wants to gain weight, you want to be very careful with the sugar. You want to go ketogenic if possible. You want to make sure you're doing protein, and you want to make sure you're doing resistance training.
All right. So is this, Karen, is this the same person? Is this David that as well that's asking about the hiatus hernia?
Yes, correct.
Yep.
And is that David sitting in front of the camera right now?
Correct.
Okay. Could you ask Ben what you want to ask? Because that's not on Ben's list because I didn't get it to him quick enough. David, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I have a hiatus hernia. I've had it for a long time.
What?
He's got a hiatus hernia.
Okay.
And I can't say the place where you've got it.
Esophagus.
Okay. That just didn't look like that. He wants to know how to get rid of it? Or,
You're not getting hiatal hernia that's not a nutritional thing, but that's something you definitely want to take care of because that'll impair digestion. That'll really throw digestion. It'll make you miserable is what it'll do. Hiatal hernia is when the stomach punches through the diaphragm.
Yeah.
It's very, you can't really deal with it nutritionally. There are mechanical things.
Esophagus, didn't you, David?
Yeah, the whole digestive tract punches through.
Yeah.
Right? So here's the thing. There's no nutritional strategy for dealing with a mechanical issue like that. I have heard, I don't know how it works, but I have heard chiropractors say that they can adjust a hiatal hernia. I don't know how they do that. But you're going to have to be really careful with how you eat because you're not going to be digesting your food very effectively. You want to make sure you're doing liquid nutrition as much as possible. And you want to be restricting your calories as much as possible. You don't want to go, you need calories, but you don't want to be overdoing it. You don't want to be eating processed foods. And you want to be supporting intestinal health. Dysbiosis or messed up gut bacteria can cause gases to splash up and exacerbate the heartburn and the reflux disease that's associated with hiatal hernias. I'm sure you have reflux disease, right?
Yes.
Well, no, I don't have much reflux because I don't eat any caffeine. I don't have any.
Okay. So you're taking measures. That's good because a lot of times people will have reflux, really miserable reflux of the hiatal hernia. The problem is it can get worse. I would have, personally, if it was me, I would have that repaired. And there are surgical reparations. Although they're going to do that?
Yeah, they're suggesting surgery, yes.
I mean, that's pretty much what you're restricted to. There's no nutritional strategies for getting rid of a hiatal hernia that I know of.
Bowen treatment does it. Bowen fixes it. A Bowen treatment fixes it. There's a treatment in Bowen.
Owen treatment
Owen?
is something. I didn't quite catch it.
Bowen treatment.
What is that?
Bowen.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
What is-
Bowen.
Yes. Yes.
Bowen treatment. The
Yep.
therapy.
Bowen? How do you spell Bowen?
B-O-W-E-N.
What is it?
B-O-W-E-N. It's a type of
It's like a
massage.
muscle. Yeah, it's like a muscle spasm, a hiatus hernia, rather than a. And it can relax it with magnesium as well. It's a.
All right.
It's a spasm.
Like I said, I've heard a Bowen therapy. Yeah, that's a way of pulling the digestive tract back out of the diaphragm, and involves doing some strange things, doesn't it? Like standing on your toes or your heel.
Thumb. Just a flick of your thumb fixes it in most cases. It's just
It's
a
what?
spasm. It's like a muscle spasm that's happened.
A hiatal hernia is not a muscle spasm. Is that what you're saying?
Bowen fixes it most times.
Okay, there you go then. I didn't know that. I knew there was. I have chiropractor friends who've told me that they can mechanically repair it, but I never knew how that worked. But I have heard that.
I know it as like micro massaging, and it's more isolated massaging, and that's where you would see it working, because if you're massaging that part of the stomach, etc., you potentially can pull it back out. You know,
I have heard. Yeah, I've heard chiropractors say that they can do that. So that might be something to experiment. There's not a really nutritional thing that you could do for that. Although I will say that using the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack can help prevent further hernias. It's one of the great things about the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, even though it's marketed for bones and joints, it will also help prevent hernias, herniations, and ruptures, and prolapses.
Okay, well, moving right along, still in Karen's room, we have Andrew asking about Addison's disease. Addison.
Okay, yeah, yes.
What can we do?
I was not, remember I said we were going to not talk about the adrenal glands. That's the tip of the triangle, and in the interest of simplifying, I wasn't going to talk about, but Addison's disease is an adrenal issue. It's when the adrenal glands don't work. They don't produce enough cortisol, enough other hormones. The adrenals make other hormones too. And people who have Addison's disease will have things like low blood pressure and fatigue and dizzy, something called POTS. Have you heard of POTS? P-O-T-S? Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, POTS. Their heart will race when they stand up. In fact, one of the ways that we assess adrenal fatigue or adrenal insufficiency is by determining whether people get dizzy upon standing, dizziness upon standing. If you feel dizzy when you stand up out of a seated position, or when you bend down to pick something up and then you stand up and you get a little woozy, or you get out of bed and you feel dizzy, or you're lifting weights, you start to get dizzy, all those are signs of adrenal insufficiency. Addison's disease is a full-blown adrenal deficiency disease. And so there's lots of things that you could do. The most important thing you could do is be very kind and gentle to the adrenal glands. And that involves psychological duress. So relaxation kinds of strategies are very important. Secondly, blood sugar issues, specifically low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, will trigger an adrenal response. So making sure you're keeping your blood sugar stable. When we eat sugar, our blood sugar drops. First it goes up, then it goes down. Then we eat more sugar, it goes up, and then it goes down. We eat more sugar, it goes up, and then it goes down. All that can put a stress on the adrenals. So keeping the blood sugar stable with a low sugar ketogenic diet is important. Also, nutrients that help support blood sugar, like the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack. So anybody with Addison's disease should be on the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack. In addition, obviously the mighty 9 essential nutrients, but also the selenium and the chromium, vanadium, and the sweeties. And then there are nutrients that are specific for the adrenal glands that might help. Ultimate EFAs, which are part of the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack. Zinc and vitamin C are especially important for the adrenal glands too, and those can also help. The B complex is especially important for the adrenal glands, and all that will be in the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack. And then some people get benefits by using adrenal extracts, ground up adrenal glands. I don't know if you ever heard of glandular therapy. Kevin's probably heard of glandular therapy.
We have the herbal one, the adrenal in Herbline.
Yeah, you could use that. Any Addison's disease, basically an adrenal disease. Now remember, the adrenals are the third point in the triangle of disease. So they're responsive to blood sugar and the digestive system. So working on the blood sugar is important, but also digestive health is important too. So anything that's going on with the digestive system. Basically, when somebody has Addison's disease, their body is not handling duress, not handling stress. The adrenal glands are your stress glands. So they're not handling stress. So what this means is you have to be very kind and gentle to the body, because you don't want, the body can't handle stress. It's not making enough stress hormones. The adrenal glands are pooped out. You've got symptoms of adrenal fatigue. Relaxing, calm, not a lot of stress on the body, making sure there's plenty of nutrition in the body, the mighty 90 essential nutrients, meditating, slow, deep breathing, all the general things that you have to do. There's nothing specific for Addison's disease, but being kind to the body, and I would work on the blood sugar, and if he wants to go all out, also digestion. Is this person here?
Yeah,
No, it's my brother. No, it's my brother, actually.
It's your brother. How old is
he? 64, 65.
Okay,
He's
so
had
he's young.
Age of about 20.
I was going to say he's probably had health challenges his whole life. Addison's disease is rare. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Adrenal issues are common, but full-blown Addison's disease is a rare disease. So if he's had it when he started when he was 20, that tells me that stuff has been going on since he was a baby. For somebody to was he premature? Was he breastfed? All that kind of stuff. And that usually was he preemie?
No, but my mum was very anxious. At the time.
Well, there you go. There you go. Was your mom was mom smoking or doing anything like that? Drinking, smoking, anything like that? Okay. So the reason this is important. What's your name, sir?
Andrew.
The reason this is important. Okay. The reason this is important, Andrew, is because if he has had a health challenge since he was 20, that means he's had a health challenge since he was a kid.
Yep.
And if he's had a health challenge since he was a kid, what part of the body do you think is most likely implicated, Bronwyn? The digestive system. The digestive system. Yeah. He has probably had digestive issues his whole life. So again, the good news is, or the bad news is, he probably isn't going to want to change his whole digestive life. The good news is if he does, he could be a new man.
Yeah, well, he's keen to learn. He's been seeing specialists, and he actually knows more about it than what his specialist does.
The specialists can't do anything. They can't do anything. They can't do anything because there's no drugs that work for this stuff. That's why they can't do anything. When they say they can't do anything, remember, they don't tell you the second half. They say they can't do anything. That's the first half. The second half is, we can't do anything if you come to me. We can't do anything if you try to get medical help. We can't do anything. Listen, the medical model, I feel bad sometimes because I have a lot of friends who are doctors, and they're great people. They really are. They want to help people. But the medical model is not equipped to handle lifestyle diseases. They're not equipped to handle these kinds of things. They're equipped to stitch you up. They're equipped to put parts of your body back on. They're equipped to repair holes and breaks and tears. That's great. They do that wonderfully. But they're not equipped to handle lifestyle issues that involve food choices, or that involve how we breathe, or how we sleep, or the stress in our lives, that involve digestive health and blood sugar health and adrenal health, the triangle disease. They're not equipped for that. But because nature abhors a vacuum, you've heard that term, nature abhors a vacuum, something will always come in and fill a vacuum. If we create a vacuum by saying, I don't know, what do I do now? Somebody's going to come in and fill it, and they'll say, hey, come to see us. We got a drug for you. You know, we're the doctor. We know everything. But then when push comes to shove, they'll tell you, sorry, nothing you can do here. And that's what they say. So it's not like they're bad people. It's just that the medical system is not equipped to handle these kinds of things. And they're only forced to handle it by default because we've abdicated.
He also was diagnosed initially, this is how they found the Addison's disease. He was diagnosed with grand mal seizures. He's only ever had 2 or 3 in his life, hadn't had one for 30 odd years. And they're not sure which caused what. But you know,
It could have gone either way. Absolutely, it could have gone either way. There's no way to know.
All right,
Okay,
thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
Good luck.
Right,
All
we're
right.
going over to Carmen. Is Carmen in the room there, Karen? If not, I'll ask the question.
No, Carmen's not, but just ask the question and
Okay, what is the best longevity way or protocol to reduce cholesterol and support sugars?
Healthy blood sugar pack.
Yeah.
Ultimate niacin. Ketogenic diet. Fucoid Z. Ultimate microbiome.
And how and when do you
what?
Sorry. And she wants to know, and how when do you take them to get maximum benefit?
When to take them?
Yeah, how and when do you take these?
Beyond tank, the best way to do your beyond tank, best way to do the BTT is throughout the day and with meals. Water will dilute blood sugar, by the way. So that's just plain water. So drinking your BTT with your meals and doing it throughout the day is great. And then it really doesn't matter. You should want to do the sweeties with your meals, though. But other than that, the ultimate niacin, ultimate selenium, that doesn't really matter. It's usually a good idea to take your nutrients with your meals because nutrients are like food, and they're utilized by the body the same way food is utilized. So they require digestive juices. So if you're eating a meal, your body is primed to absorb nutrition. So usually nutrients are best taken with meals.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think we're finished with Karen's room, so I'm going to mute her because I do have the young Grant on here.
Okay.
Karen, you'll just have to mute yourself, Karen, because it won't let me do it. And he's got a friend who is also on here. I think he pronounces his name Kieran.
Kieran's right, yeah.
Yes, and it's the very first question that was on the list I sent you, Ben, but then we've been going around in circles here. Okay. So actually, Kieran, can you unmute yourself? And if you can put your camera on and talk to Ben, that'd be even better that you say yourself.
Yeah, I'm just driving at the moment, but I fractured my foot and I went in to see a radiologist who used to be a chiro. He started doing an assessment on me and he said, I think you've got all the indicators for multifidus muscle atrophy, which essentially is tight hips that result in tight hamstrings and back soreness.
Yes.
A
couple things you want to do here. A couple things. First of all, you want some mechanical work. There could be some scar tissue in there. So the best mechanical work for that kind of injury is rolfing. ROLFING, rolfing. I'm sure you have rolfers down there. Rolfing. It's a
massage.
It's a it's intense massage. They break up scar tissue. Secondly, if you have muscle atrophy, remember all disease is cell disease, so it's not muscle atrophy, it's muscle cell atrophy, muscle cell disease. You're dealing with the same thing everybody else is dealing with. It's a cellular issue. So number one, is there toxicity getting into the system? And that would be through the digestive tract. So you got to work on that. Sugar also is a toxin, so I keep my sugars down. I would treat myself as a diabetic, whether or not you've been diagnosed as such, and that'll help stabilize your blood sugar. And then make sure you're using connective tissue and muscle tissue building supplements like the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the glucogel caps in the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, Ultimate EFAs in the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the collagen peptides. Also, you might want to consider the Ultimate enzymes, which have anti-inflammatory benefits. And then once you get rolfed and they break up if they're assuming there is scar tissue, I don't know if there is, but if they do break up scar tissue, you want to start doing resistance training to build the muscles up. Now
so he's got me to do deep water running. So it's wearing a weight belt and running in the water. Not a weight belt, a flotation belt. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. That's excellent because it's very low resist. It doesn't put a lot of stress on the joints, but it definitely builds tissue. And then after you come out of the water, take your collagen peptides, take your Fit Shake, and do your Healthy Bone and Joint Pack nutrients with your meals. You might want to do it with your Fit Shake or with your collagen peptides. Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Has that been helpful, Kieran?
Yeah, well, I wasn't prescribed collagen peptides, but the other things I've been doing.
I would do the collagen
sense.
peptide. Yeah, I would totally be doing the collagen peptides.
Yeah, that's a great one because you can add that to your shakes and all sorts. I mix it with my Changi and everything. It's really good. So thank you, Kieran. And look, give us an update. We like updates, don't we, Ben? We like to see how you're progressing.
Love, yeah, people are doing. Yes.
Because it's really helpful for us. Okay, all right. So I don't know if Grant had another question while he was unmuted. Did you?
So what I wouldn't mind asking, Ben, is it's the only person I've ever heard talk about parasites, and the influence with disease.
Yeah, I don't know about the whole parasite thing. Here's the problem with parasites. Unless you were out in the jungles in New Guinea or something and you got some severe parasites, the kind of parasites everybody are talking about, it's hard to distinguish them from ordinary parasites that live in the body. Things live in the body and it's hard to find them. Now, there are parasitic diseases for sure. I'm not saying there's no parasitic diseases, but they're not that common. So when somebody says they have a parasite, like a healthcare practitioner looks at their eyes and say, "Oh, I think you have parasites," I'm always a little dubious of that. Now, if you are trudging around the jungles of South America or something like that, or walking barefoot in, down south in the United States, it's possible you could have hookworm or something like that. But for the most part, I prefer working on other strategies. Look, the way we eat alone is going to duplicate a parasitic infection. So correct all of these other things. And then if you're still sick and you've done living your life completely perfect, and maybe you have a parasitic infection, and they do happen. I'm not saying they don't happen, but sometimes people, sometimes you'll have alternative practitioners who look at your, the color of your eyes or something, and they'll say, "Oh, that looks like, I think you have a parasitic infection." I'm always dubious of that.
Okay, I'm happy with that answer.
Very good. All right, so we've got one from Gracie. Now, Gracie's not here today.
Before you go on to that, can I just add to that, just to give you a little bit of our down under with you there, Ben? We do see a lot of ticks and stuff like that, especially in Australia. Lyme disease is probably quite common. And we have a lot of people who, every second holiday, they're over in Asia, Bali, Indonesia, Thailand. Yeah. And so they pick up the Bali bugs, they pick up all those little types of rubbishy stuff that, but as you say, some of those bigger stuff you see in the Amazon jungles, no. So we're only dealing with just common sort of parasites and stuff like that. And our sort of formulas we do today tends to deal with that too. I don't get, like yourself, if you have a parasitic infection, you're going to have diarrhea and vomiting, and you're going to have some severe signs of it. But if somebody's feeling lousy, just feel tired, and they have all the signs of adrenal fatigue or hypoglycemia, and then they try to treat it like a parasitic infection, but still eat McDonald's and cereals and soda pop, and that's kind of what we like to think. We like to think, "Oh, I'm innocent. It's just this parasite that's doing this. I'm perfect born for this darn parasite." And that's kind of the tendency when you hear about parasitic infections. Nonetheless, they do happen. I'm not saying they don't happen, but they're really not that common. And if you do have if you have a parasitic infection, it seems like you would have some severe signs of it. Now, but they do happen. I'm not saying that they don't happen. I want to be clear about that. And generally the body will clear it, but it's probably the fatigue or the toxicity that follows afterwards, what you're actually suffering from, not the actual original parasite in the first place.
Yes, the body can handle it. Now there are roundworms and there's tapeworms, and there are these things, and they're pretty hideous. But most of the time when people have a health problem, it's not a parasitic problem. There's so many other things that they can work on. Look, there's a phenomena that we want to understand if we're in the healthcare profession or we're helping people, called locus of control. And locus of control is really about where you have control over your health challenge. And we have so much control over, the sugar we eat, our lifestyle issues, the amount of exercise we're doing, the drugs we're taking, the nutrients we're missing, that it seems like those are more powerful places to work. I think, in my opinion.
Very much. And the elimination of bad foods,
And just the elimination. Exactly. The elimination of bad foods. Exactly. So I know parasitic
mighty 90.
And don't forget your mighty 90 essential nutrients. Absolutely.
That's right. All right. I have one last question here.
Yes.
From
yes.
Gracie. Now, Gracie is normally with us, but she has a funeral today. So she hopefully, I don't know who the person is that she asked to come on. So
yes.
I don't know. But she has a question. Last time about you mentioned about needing B5 for thyroid and adrenalins.
I forgot to mention B5 is also very important for the adrenal glands for that Addison's guy. I forgot to mention that.
Good girl.
Andrew.
Good job.
Yeah.
But I can't see it in longevity products. Where does he recommend we get it? No, she can't. I'm sure we've got B5 in our.
Yes, and the de-stress.
Oh, right. So we don't have de-stress in Australia. That's.
Oh, you don't have de-stress. Okay. Yeah.
Kevin, do you have any idea what we got down here? No. Okay. And P.S. I've asked. Remember, Gracie also had the customer with the son. She's asked the person to join, so I don't know if they're here because she didn't give me a name. About the son's trauma, which is not a tumor, and the diagnosis of the see if I can get this right, catatonia.
Catatonia.
Yes, but I don't know who her client is that she asked to join us to mention that, and I can see a couple of different ones here. It might be whether it's Tanny or Jackie. Who anyway, she didn't give me a name, so I have no idea who to ask to unmute about that. But
are you asking a question? I didn't really hear a question.
Yeah, well, she asked the customer to join, if possible, about the son's trauma. Yeah, the trauma that we talked about. That's not a tumor, and diagnosed with catatonia. But she didn't tell me the name, so I don't know who it is to unmute. So I'm asking you, is that person here, and can they unmute? Oh, I don't know if it's Jackie or Tanny. No. Not getting any response, so I can't help Gracie there.
All right, next time. We'll see in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
all right, Bronnie.
If she'd give me a name, I could have asked them to unmute, but anyway, no, that's not happening. All right, well, we will call it a day here.
Just that Panasonic, that B5, by the way, is in the BTT. It's in a fair chunk of our products. B5.
Oh, okay.
It's in the BTT, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the ultimate daily too.
And the classic. It's in it's in most of our multivitamins.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ben. See you in a fortnight.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bronnie, Kevin, Karen, Harry, everybody. Nice to see you. See you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And as I asked, stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you're getting rid of all those bad foods, you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all, and catch you again tomorrow here in Bunny's World.
Thanks, Bronnie.